Let's dive straight in.
Section 7. The Middle Ages and the Witch Hunts. Imagine waking up with magical powers in the Middle Ages. Sounds epic, right? Wrong. Back then, if you so much as owned a weird-looking cat or collected herbs, people thought you were in league with the devil. Ordinary women who baked bread a little differently could be accused of witchcraft. Men weren't safe either. Villagers feared anything they couldn't explain, and magic was the scariest thing of all. Picture this. You heal someone's headache with a simple plant mixture, and suddenly the town decides you must be burned at the stake. The church and local leaders pushed fear so hard that even your neighbors would turn you in. Accusations flew fast, and there was no real defense. Being smart, different, or even a little mysterious could get you killed. What's wild is that most accused witches weren't even trying to be magical. They were just unlucky. If you became a wizard in this era, your life expectancy was basically zero. Forget fireballs and spells. Your biggest challenge would be staying alive long enough to practice anything. This was a time when knowledge itself was suspicious. And the more people didn't understand, the more they feared it. So, while the Middle Ages might seem cool in movies, for real-life wizards it was a nightmare. Section 6. Ancient Rome and the Law Against Magic. Ancient Rome might sound like a decent place for wizards, with all the gods and rituals around. But reality? Not so great. Rome actually had strict laws banning sorcery, curses, and even fortune-telling. If you got caught doing anything magical, you could lose property, be exiled, or worse. Here's the twist. Romans loved omens and prophecies, but only when official priests did them. If you, as a random wizard, tried to predict the future, instant suspicion. Emperors were terrified that magic could be used to predict or cause their downfall. So your spells wouldn't make you cool, they'd make you a political threat. Imagine being a wizard trying to help someone with a simple love charm. Instead of gratitude, they might report you for plotting against Caesar. Magic was seen as a weapon, not a gift. Even owning strange books or potions could mark you as dangerous. In short, Rome didn't want free agents messing with power. Wizards weren't viewed as wise, they were viewed as rivals. And in a society built on control, rivals didn't last long. So while gladiators fought lions in the arena, you'd be fighting just to keep your head attached. Not exactly the heroic life a wizard dreams of. Section 5. The French Revolution. Fast forward to late 1700s France. You'd think a time of freedom and equality would be perfect for wizards. Nope. During the French Revolution, anything tied to royalty, superstition, or religion was seen as corrupt. That included magic. Wizards would be lumped in with the old aristocracy, accused of trickery and manipulation. This was an age when the guillotine worked overtime. People lost their heads for wearing the wrong clothes, let alone practicing magic. If you pulled out a spell book in Paris, the mob wouldn't cheer, they'd scream witch and drag you off. Fear of betrayal and conspiracy ran wild, so even rumors of magical powers could get you executed. Think about it. Revolutionaries wanted science, reason, and progress. They hated anything mystical that reminded them of kings or the church. Wizards would instantly look like enemies of the new order. Even if you tried to help with healing or protection, people would think you were scheming. The energy of the revolution was chaos. Neighbors turned on neighbors, loyalty shifted by the hour, and mobs ruled the streets. A wizard caught in that storm would have nowhere safe to stand. So while it sounds dramatic and cinematic, the French Revolution would chew up a wizard and spit them out. Just another victim of suspicion and fear. Section 4. Colonial America and the Salem Witch Trials. You've heard of Salem, right? That tiny town in Massachusetts where hysteria ran wild in the 1600s? If you were a wizard there, your story would be very short and very grim. All it took was a group of kids pretending to be bewitched, and suddenly dozens of people were accused. In that environment, being a wizard wasn't cool, it was suicidal. Imagine trying to quietly practice a spell, and your candle flickers weirdly. That's enough for your neighbor to call the preacher and accuse you of consorting with demons. The trials were built on fear, lies, and paranoia, not facts. No evidence was needed, just whispers and finger-pointing. The craziest part? People confessed to fake crimes just to avoid being tortured. If you stayed silent, you might be crushed by rocks or hanged. If you confessed, you were branded forever as evil. Wizards stood no chance because the community was convinced the devil was everywhere. This wasn't about magic, it was about control. The church and local leaders used fear to keep order, and magic made the perfect scapegoat. For anyone with real powers, The safest option was never using them at all. So Salem wasn't just a bad time for wizards. It was one of the deadliest. And the scariest thing? It all happened because people chose fear over reason. Section 3. The World War II Era. Now jump to the 1940s. You'd think modern times would be safer for wizards. Not exactly. During World War II, governments were paranoid, suspicious, and desperate to control every edge. Magic would instantly be seen as a weapon of war. Imagine the military finding out you could cast spells. They wouldn't let you live free. They'd lock you in a lab and force you to fight. Both sides would want to use you like a human nuke. Wizards wouldn't be independent. They'd be prisoners of politics. And if regular people found out? The fear of spies and traitors was sky high. Neighbors were reporting each other for tiny suspicions. Add real magic into that mix, and you'd be accused of sabotage instantly. People wouldn't see you as a hero, they'd see you as a threat. Plus, with the rise of propaganda, your entire image would be twisted. Posters would label you a danger to society, and leaders would claim your powers belonged to the state. No matter which side you were on, you'd never truly be safe. So World War II might sound like an intense time for a wizard to rise up, but in reality, you'd be trapped, controlled, and probably broken before you ever had the chance to change the world. Section 2. The Age of Exploration. Picture yourself on a ship in the 1500s, sailing toward new worlds. Exciting, right? Well, not if you're a wizard. During the Age of Exploration, the church still had massive influence, and anything magical was labeled as heresy. On top of that, sailors were superstitious. Magic on board would freak everyone out. Imagine trying to help with navigation using your powers. Instead of thanks, the captain might accuse you of cursing the voyage. Storms, sickness, or even bad luck could all be blamed on you. And when explorers landed in new territories, your presence would look even more suspicious. Both the locals and the Europeans would distrust you. This era was all about conquest and control. If you had unique powers, rulers would see you as something to own, not someone to respect. At best, you'd be chained and shipped back as a curiosity. At worst, you'd be executed as a danger to the mission. The Age of Exploration promised discovery, but for wizards it meant danger from every direction. On the sea, from the crew. On land, from strangers. And from the crown, who wanted total authority. So, far from being an adventure, this was one of the loneliest, most dangerous times to have magic. Section 1. The Cold War. Finally, the Cold War. You'd think this time of rockets and space races would be more open-minded. Nope. The Cold War was built on paranoia. Everyone thought someone else was plotting against them. If you were a wizard, both the US and the USSR would treat you as the ultimate spy tool. Picture it, you heal someone's wound or bend a spoon, and suddenly the CIA or KGB is knocking on your door. They wouldn't ask nicely, they'd force you to choose sides. Wizards wouldn't be free citizens, they'd be classified assets. And with propaganda running non-stop, imagine the headlines, enemy nation using dark magic. Your very existence would fuel fear, divide people, and probably spark conflicts. Neighbors wouldn't see you as magical, they'd see you as dangerous. The Cold War wasn't about actual battles, it was about influence and control. Wizards would instantly become pawns, never masters. Your power wouldn't make you strong, it would make you hunted. So, in a world obsessed with control, secrecy, and fear, being a wizard wasn't just tough, it was practically impossible. So, there you have it. 7 of the absolute worst times in history to be a wizard. From the fires of Salem to the paranoia of the Cold War, every era had one thing in common: fear. People fear what they don't understand, and wizards would always be the first target. No matter how powerful, you'd never truly be free. But here's the twist: thinking about these times shows us something about today. The more open and curious people are, the safer new ideas become. Maybe magic isn't real, but creativity, science, and imagination are. And those thrive best in a world where people are not afraid of what's different. So, if you've been watching this far, you know what this channel is about. Calm, no drama breakdowns of ideas that make you think, motivate you, and sometimes make you laugh. Hit subscribe, join the community, and let's keep exploring the strange side of history together. Not chasing perfection, just chasing curiosity. Because if history taught us anything, it's that the real magic is when we stop fearing and start learning.